Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, with our main topic today in the breakfast show. Today we are discussing the leap that has took place in the sector of tourism, with an increase of tourists coming to Egypt by 30%. To shed more light on this, we have the pleasure to have this phone on with Dr. Yehia Abdul, Tourism Counselor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Well, Dr. Abdul, how do you evaluate the leap that has been achieved in the tourism sector recently, and especially in the winter season?
Actually, the strategy of the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities is paying off. Like the Telegraph, the Daily Mail and the Sun, they are advising the agencies to send the winter vacations in Egypt. It is both enjoyable and affordable as well. Marta Alam result is receiving the flight from the center to Milano, which is really a big start for the flourishing 2023, inshallah.
Yes, Doctor, what about your expectations for this winter season, and also the preparations or the program provided by the Ministry of Tourism for the vacation of the mid-year vacation here in Egypt and the domestic tourism in Egypt?
Well, really, there are great plans because, we need air supply, to cater for the inflows of international travel to Egypt. Cairo, for example, is offering shuttle services from main European destinations and airports to Sharm el-Sheikh, to Qader, to Luxor, and so on as well. And we're having wedding planning, which is another attractive event for Sharm el-Sheikh. Last week, we had Indian couples that were having the wedding celebration, and there was family and friends estimated like over 500 guests. So this is some of the plans to develop and diversify its sources of international influence to Egypt.
And Doctor, what about the destinations that the tourists like to visit most in Egypt, and why?
Well, of course, due to the economic crisis that the world is witnessing now, so Europeans they have like a harsh winter season, and it's like worldwide. So they like to come to Egypt, to visit the Red Sea resorts, Al Hashish, Qader, Marta Alam, and then there's lots of Nile cruises, going up and down the Nile between Luxor and Aswan and Abu Simbel. So this is a good season, for Egyptian tourism. And 2 days ago, Luxor celebrated the international marathon that attracted thousands of participants, and it was kicked off, from the September. And there were hundreds of balloons, hovering over the Egyptian temples and antiquities in Luxor, which was a great attraction for well and medium visitors as well.
Yes, Doctor, Egypt have recently organized the 30th round of the Egypt's International Marathon, starting in the temple of Hatshepsut. So how would such events, notably the sports events especially, would help in promoting for the tourism sector?
Well, except this is exceptional and excellent at the same time, because, sports is an integral part of tourism promotion worldwide. Look, at our Egyptian squads, in squash, in handball, fencing, in shooting, and in equestrian as well. So, when a country, wins, top, posts, awards and medals, in sports, that shows, how vital and dynamic this country, and that's why, in Luxor, 2 days ago, we celebrated the International Marathon, the 30th one, which attracted thousands of visitors, and that was kicked off from the Queen Hatshepsut Temple on the west bank of the Nile, and at the same time there was balloons, hovering, over the Egyptian temples and antiquities in Luxor. It was a great festival for worldwide visitors as well.
Yes, Doctor, also the safari tourism, there was a safari tourism that was launched from the pyramids plateau in Giza till the Sudanese borders. So how important is that event?
This is another great attraction, like because worldwide visitors, they love to come to Egypt, like to enjoy, like its beaches, the Nile, its religions, like the Cuba, and in southern Sinai, and they like to do safaris because it's exotic for them, especially, like from Germany, from France, from England, Switzerland. They love to do safaris and go to Marsa Matruh and Siwa, Dakhla al Kharga. So it's a great attraction, like for a great segment of travelers who like, like ecotourism in a diversified country with resources like Egypt.
Yes, Doctor, after the severe or the unprecedented weather this year and the weather in some touristic countries, the severe cold there and the countries that were affected by the cold weather, how would this take the tourists from these countries and would encourage them to come to Egypt, which is very famous and well known with its warm weather?
Well, really, like this year, like in this winter season, we are faced with two crises. One is energy shortage and the increasing rates of energy supply. The second is a very harsh winter. And that's why international tour operators, like airlines and cruises, they are, like directing, like the tours towards the Mediterranean, Egypt, because of its fair and warm weather year-round. We enjoy it. That's why lots of tours are going to the Red Sea region and going to Fayoum, Minya, Luxor, Aswan, and Abu Simbel to benefit, like of the warm weather versus the severe cold that they suffer from in European capitals and destinations. That's
Yes.
true.
Yes. Doctor, recently the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir have joined the list of the preliminary list of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So how do you see the importance of this in boosting tourism in Egypt?
Like the Tahrir Museum is over 120 years old now, and it's like a world icon by itself. Like the building, like and its contents is like 100,000 artifacts of unique Egyptian antiquities archaeology, and that's why the regional commissioner of the UNESCO, Ms. Huwaira Sanz, she visited the Saqqara necropolis yesterday, and she commented on the recent discoveries in Egypt, like and the work of Egyptian archaeologists. That's why Egypt on January 15th celebrated, like the day of archaeology and archaeology in Egypt. It was a great celebration for them and for, like toil, like they do a great job like year-round for Egypt to dig, like in the necropolis and excavation in the Egyptian mission, which were the formal presentations as well.
Yes, Doctor, what is the importance of this putting or with the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir joining the preliminary list of the UNESCO Heritage World Sites? Why is this important? What is the criteria of choosing a special place to be joining the list of the UNESCO?
Yes, like UNESCO is, like caring for to protect the both tangible and intangible heritage worldwide. And the ministry is one of the landmarks, like in the international scene because of its collection of rare, like archaeological and Egyptian heritage, art and civilization. So if it's like included in the UNESCO list, this is, like a great bonus for the UNESCO because the Tahrir Square is a great one. And shortly, inshallah, the Grand Egyptian Museum, which is currently going through soft opening, will be opening its gates, like official opening this year. And there are hundreds of thousands of visitors are lining up to go for this great opening, inshallah.
Yes, Doctor, still in the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir. After the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir have bid farewell for the kings and queens' mummies that were transferred to the National Museum of Civilization, and also with the expecting of the inauguration of the Grand Egyptian Museum, many writers and analysts were asking, and the people are asking, would the Tahrir Egyptian Museum still be of that importance? So adding it to the list of the UNESCO, is it an answer to many questions that have been raised with its of course unique building, the Roman style building, and with its garden, with its gates, and with the statues it encompasses, the Tahrir Egyptian Museum?
Yes, like the Tahrir Square, like Egyptian Museum, really the building itself is an icon, like as you already mentioned, and this is in addition to the diversified and unique collection that it has, like since it's like the own kingdom, like it has statues of King Cheops, Khafre, Mycerinus, and all the way up to the end of the third Egyptian dynasty, and still encompasses great contents, like of Greco-Roman periods as well. So it's one of the landmarks, like not only for Egypt but worldwide. And like it's like the main and the mother museum that the civilization one in Fustat and the Grand Egyptian Museum has been, like taking part of its collections, because it has huge, like over 100,000 artifacts, plus its contents, like in restoration labs and storage containers as well. So it's a landmark that every visitor's coming to Egypt like to make a stop or two, because it takes more than one day, like to go through the antiquities and the collections of the Cairo Egyptian Museum. Yes.
Yes. Also, there are some other sites in Egypt that have been included in the list of the heritage list of the UNESCO, which is Wadi El Hitan Reserve.
Yes, this is in El Fayoum, like because, like in ancient times, like Egypt was flooded, and in the area, like in El Fayoum, it had, like the Mansoura University, they find like remains, like and relics of dinosaurs, and there was like giant whales as well. So after, like all this water receded and the terrain changed, so we have relics, and that's why we have a museum that I visited in the oasis of El Fayoum that shows that whales and dinosaurs, like lived in this terrain over 100 million years ago. Yes.
Yes, we are still in the list of the UNESCO. Also, another site was added, which is the old city of Thebes, and also the St. Catherine also monastery was added long ago as on the list of the UNESCO for Heritage World Site. Could you give us an idea about this, please?
Yeah, like the city of Tanis and, like the St. Catherine Monastery, it has been, like constructed and founded over 14 centuries ago. So this is one of the unique locations because of its vicinity to Mount Sinai, the places, like where the Ten Commandments was received. And it has been like to commemorate the martyr, like St. Catherine, like that was, like established in her memory. And it has Greek and Egyptian monks, like are living there. And they having one of the largest libraries over there that have manuscripts so rare, like in Greek and in Latin and in Syrian and in Egyptian languages, so and Arabic as well. So it's a great conservation, like for history and literature and theology as well. So yeah, Egypt has lots of, like heritage, both tangible and tangible. Like the Egyptian cuisine has been, like recorded on the UNESCO list, and intangible heritage, as well as fencing, like in Upper Egypt, which we call Tahtib. So there's lots of, like attractions in Egyptian culture and civilization preserved by the UNESCO, both tangible and intangible heritage.
Yes, I thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your valuable information, Dr. Yehia Abdul Qader, Tourism Counselor. Thank you very much for joining us over the phone. I thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me in this segment. My name is Amal Mukhtar. I leave you with my colleague, Nermina Abdurrahman.